a beautiful day for the final stop at the Alabama Bass Trail presented by Phoenix Boat South Division. We're on the Alabama River, Cooter's Pond, Kay Donaldson, Robbie Floyd, and it's a great day for fishing, especially if they're going to be pulling water like I hear that may be the case.
You know, all around us we've seen rain and pretty good downpours, so that means they're going to cut those turbines on and start pulling water, and that's what the guys were saying at the meeting last night. So I'm interested to see, you know, last year we didn't have that, so I'm interested to see what it's going to do today.
Took a little over 14 pounds to win last year. If they're pulling water, we could see a change in that. But you look at the number of anglers that have a chance at this Angler of the Year title, it's quite a few.
You know, in that top 5, I mean, it's really, really close. And I know this is the first time we've ever sent 2 teams out tied for the Angler of the Year at the last tournament. So there was a lot of emotion going on this morning, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes across stage today.
It may be tied right now, but it's not going to end that way today.
All right, here we are. Welcome back to the jungle down here in Alabama River out of Prattville, Alabama. It's hot, it's nasty. 203 teams in today's contest. They've all launched. We got a tie atop the leaderboard there for Angler of the Year, and third place is lurking. What's it going to take to win today? Well, what's your strategy to catch a big back today?
You're going to be on the river. Well, personally, I think you're going to have to fish the river. Shallow water's out. Water fluctuating, the bass are going to be out on the river where they can get into deeper water. They might come up to feed a little bit.
Sure.
And then they're going to go right back.
Well, we had a lot of rain yesterday,
Yeah.
more forecasted rain later on the day. It's summertime, so that rain pattern, it's iffy, but you know it's going to storm at some point in time. And so they are moving water. The water is falling. We've noticed this morning already. What's that going to do to these guys?
They're going to have to refigure. I think they're going to have to back off a little bit. We've heard this morning some talk about in practice they've caught some shallow. I haven't heard anybody say real deep or anything like that, but with the water dropping, as you say, I think they're going to have to back off a little bit. I'm thinking it's going to take 15.5 pounds.
Okay. I'm gonna second your 15.5, maybe go a little under, you get about 15. I think it may not take as much. I think it's gonna be a tough day for everybody.
Yes.
And only one way to find out, we need to get out there and see how they're doing.
That's it.
Here we are, the last event in 2018 in the South Division. We're on the Alabama River, and this morning we decided to follow one of the points leaders. We've got a tie for first place, and this morning we're following Gentry Gordy and Chad Smith, and they're tied with John Pollard and Dallas Weldon. So first thing in the morning, they just stopped at the first stop. We're gonna see how they do. So far this morning, we've kind of seen what I expect a lot of the guys to be doing today. A lot of fishing shoreline cover, and it's a combination of weed beds and cypress trees and lay down logs, and guys will be throwing top waters, plastics, jigs. Kind of depends on the type cover that they come to. They kind of reach down and pick up the bait of choice. Got stained water today. I wasn't on the water yesterday, so I don't know kind of what the conditions have been. I know there have been some pretty strong storms that came through parts of the state yesterday, so that could have an effect as well. Got about 8 inches of visibility this morning in this area. Right now they're fishing down the backside of an island, and there's about a 5-foot ditch that runs between the island and the bank itself. Typical areas this time of year, the fish just kind of pull up and feed first thing in the morning.
How's your day been so far?
I only got one in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a little bit better on probably about another hour or 2.
Later on?
Yeah, I want the sun to come up.
Gotcha.
Believe it or not, that helps me out.
Okay.
So.
I mean, you can tell it's falling. You see the ski boat on the bank here. And I feel like they didn't park it that shallow yesterday when they used it, or the last time they used it. You can tell by the rope, as tight as it is. You've obviously got fluctuating water, just tough conditions.
Alabama Bass Trail TV, presented by Phoenix Boats, is brought to you by Bill Penny Toyota, official truck of the Alabama Bass Trail, and by TH Marine, improving your boat from transom to trolling motor. There's more to come.
Greg Hackney, 2014 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. Aaron Martins, 2013 and 2015 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. What else do these guys have in common? Phoenix Boats. The last 3 Bassmaster Angler of the Year titles were won out of Phoenix Boats. Coincidence? We think not. Phoenix Boats. Our passion for fishing is obvious.
So our mission statement here at Bill Penny Motor Company is to enrich the lives of our employees and our customers and the communities we serve. And it really begins and ends with people. It started with that kind of philosophy with my granddad and went through my dad. Growing up around the business, I remember being just a kid washing cars and meeting these customers. Now I'm a grown adult and they get to buy vehicles from us and hopefully serve their next of kin for generations to come. For the whole story, visit us at BillPennyToyota.com, where people always come first.
What could 148,000 people possibly have in common? As different as each of the members of America's First are, they all like it when good things happen to them. Like when their savings earn a higher return than they can get with a bank, and when their loans and credit cards have lower rates. And they like taking care of business from wherever they are. Why not join us today? America's First Federal Credit Union.
You sons of fishes. Ain't enough fish on this lake for 2 clubs.
Really? Well, we see plenty of fish live with Panoptics.
Yep. Dang, we should get Panoptics. Or maybe we'll just take yours.
What's going on here? You boys have license?
Yes, sir. Nope.
There he is.
Oh, I got him.
You've witnessed the action, the thrill, and the competition of the Alabama Bass Trail. Isn't it time you got involved? Coming in 2019, over $47,000 paid out for each event. No entry fee championship. 85 grand up for grabs, including a new Phoenix. More than $500,000 in cash and prizes. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and sign up now at alabamabasstrail.org. The Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series, presented by Phoenix Boats.
Prattville, Alabama is host for this 5th and final stop on the Alabama Bass Trail South Division. It's all about the points. Last year's Angler of the Year, Chris Rutledge and Kobe Carden come into this 25 points behind the leaders, Pollard and Weldon, not to mention Gordy and Smith, who are tied for first place. It's a tight race between the top 5, and let's get back out on the water and see how they're progressing.
Yes, son.
That's our size we're getting.
Okay.
You can see the way the water comes down with this seawall, where it hits and turns. With these large drains, you're going to get a lot of stuff that flows through here that gets caught up. You get a big eddy here. You get a lot of debris, a lot of structure underneath, and a lot of fish just load up here. Like he talked about earlier, these drains, when the water's flowing out, it's almost a dinner bell to these fish. So with the wind and current, it certainly could make for a good spot. This is where boat positioning and finding that right cast is key. And because a lot of times with the way the wind is and the current and this structure, they're gonna stack up in one little spot, in one little area. And when you figure out how they're sitting there, then you can usually sit there and whack on them pretty good. Here we are mid-morning. We've seen a few fish caught. We've heard of one limit that we know of, heard a few other fish caught, but much like I-65 right around that corner, this place is getting busy with boat traffic. Guys are starting to panic just a little bit. The sun's not popping out like the guys wanted. It's going to stay a little bit overcast, it looks like. What do you do now at 9 o'clock in the morning to kind of make sure you can catch those fish the rest of the day?
Really, you've got to overlook boat traffic.
Okay.
I mean, you seriously, you can't let it get in your head. It's kind of like dock talk.
Sure.
But the fishing on here with a little breeze coming in, wind getting a little stronger, cloud cover, they're going to roam a little bit. I think you're going to have to put the trolling motor on it.
You're going to have to cover a lot of water.
Exactly. You're going to have to move around some.
Okay.
And fish your spots that you had practice, go back, repeat again, and keep going back and forth.
Well, right on cue.
There comes one.
Here they come.
You're right.
Sir, let's do it. Let's go ahead and pitch to Kenneth. He ran the other direction this morning.
Yeah.
Let's see what he's looking at on his end of the lake today.
Sound good.
They've been fishing for quite a while now and really hadn't had any bites. They've had a couple of bites I thought maybe been brim. It's gotten kind of slow on them, and they've gone further in this creek, and they actually just had a discussion a few minutes ago of should they go on to another spot or go further, and they kind of talked it over for a few minutes, went back and forth about it, decided to go a little bit farther. These creeks are, this part of Alabama, you know, they're very scenic. There's cover everywhere. It kind of draws you in, makes you want to, you know, go a little bit further and see what's around the next corner. So they decided to go a little bit farther. So we're going to follow them a little while and see if that was a good decision or not.
Same size, yeah. Swinging. Yeah, cool, mate. That might get him. Don't lose him. Cut that out.
This portion of the program is sponsored in part by Sweet Home Alabama, by Garmin, and by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Alabama Bass Trail TV, presented by Phoenix Boats, will be right back.
A bad day on the road still beats a good one off it. Progressive helps keep you out there.
Greg Hackney, 2014 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. Aaron Martins, 2013 and 2015 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. What else do these guys have in common? Phoenix Boats. The last 3 Bassmaster Angler of the Year titles were won out of Phoenix Boats. Coincidence? We think not. Phoenix Boats. Our passion for fishing is obvious.
Well, we've been following Gentry Gordy and Chad Smith all morning, so we decided to leave, give them a break, and we've come down the river and come into Swift Creek. It's one of the deeper creeks on the lower end of this system that they can fish, and just pulled up. There's several boats in here. We're just going to kind of drop in on a couple, see how they're doing, and try to figure out what the patterns are for this area. Got a fish on now. Looks like maybe a little better fish.
Now here, I like this spot, the way it sets up with these trees, the wind blowing around it, and you got the current coming down. It's going to stack up been kind of holding some bait fish. I'm seeing some bait fish on the graph and seeing some things. And these guys made the comment, you can fish 50 trees here and then find one that holds a mother lode. So this certainly looks like a really good spot to potentially do that. Got a good limit?
Yeah, we got one that's like 4.5 and 4 decent ones.
Okay.
Probably got one 13 3/4. So.
Catch them all pretty early, or has it just been kind of steady?
Caught a good many in the last hour. Didn't do too good earlier this morning.
It's hooked up, and the angler in front of the boat is swimming a jig. And he came to a point of the grass and got bit right there at the point. So it's a pretty typical pattern for this type area. The deal with the swim jig is you're going to throw it out there in the cover, and you're going to really work the bait high in the column and shake your rod a lot. And between shaking the jig and the actual tails that are swimming the way the rage crawl does, it's a great way to catch fish. You can fish behind a lot of people. This is a stretch of weed bed that's probably been fished multiple times today. These guys have caught 3 more fish. So the key is being consistent with it and covering a lot of water. But it's hard to beat a swim jig when they're in the shallow grass.
Here we are on a team. Sun's finally peeked out of the clouds a little bit. They're still blowing through pretty good, but pull up on this team, throwing white swim jigs, and I mean, right off the bat, catch 2 really nice fish, fill their limit, and then start to cull. And Harry, I think you said it best, when the sun's coming out, they may turn these fish on a little bit. We've heard a few other teams say they're waiting for the sun to come out and stay out for a little bit. Not a lot of shade here, but obviously it's making things a little more active. So we'll keep with this pattern and see what happens. Well, we went one way, you went the other. A little slow for us. How was your end?
A little slow for us as well. We finally went all the way down to Swift Creek, which is a pretty good ways down, and got in there. It's a little bit deeper creek, got in the back, and some guys were fishing swim jigs along the edge of grass. And saw them catch 3. We actually moved off them to another boat that had been in there earlier. They said they caught them in there earlier. And while we were over there, they started yelling and screaming. So after we got finished with them, we actually rolled back over to see how big that fish was. And he says a little over 4.
Yelling and screaming is usually a good deal.
Yeah, he was making a big deal. Kind of got in the head of the guys that we were following. They knew each other. He knew he had pulled him behind him, and he caught 1. He didn't realize he'd caught 3 actually behind him. He just thought he caught 1. And then he heard him say that, so he knew the guy was catching behind him.
Well, Angler of the Year race is tight. We know that our guys were struggling a little bit this morning. Everything was a little bit slow.
Right.
We've got cameras on them amongst a bunch of others, so all we can do now is hurry up and wait. It's all going to go down right here behind us.
Sure. And there's still a chance for guys to catch fish even later in the day.
Sure.
So I really expect them to have good fish when they come in.
Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This portion of Alabama Bass Trail TV, presented by Phoenix Boats, is brought to you by Bill Penny Toyota, Sweet Home, Alabama, and by America's First Federal Credit Union. Stay with us. There's more to come.
Taming the beast isn't easy, but the bigger your electronics, the more you have on the line. In conditions like this, you need the KVD Kong Extreme Electronics Mount. The only electronics mount designed and built to be rock solid. No movement, no matter how heavy your gear. A marine-grade mount for fresh or salt water that's monstrously strong. The KVD Kong Extreme Electronics Mount.
Greg Hackney, 2014 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. Aaron Martins, 2013 and 2015 Bassmaster Angler of the Year. What else do these guys have in common? Phoenix Boats. The last 3 Bassmaster Angler of the Year titles were won out of Phoenix Boats. Coincidence? We think not. Phoenix Boats. Our passion for fishing is obvious.
Some things ain't worth keeping. Yesterday's traditions, today's adventures, tomorrow's memories. Now that's something worth keeping. Fish Alabama and find your keeper.
For more information, visit fishalabama.org. It's time to take a road trip.
Alabama's got 100 road trips, and some of the best are outdoors, like a trip to Lake Gunnersville. First stop on the Alabama Bass Trail. Catch anything? Nice. Or head to the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. 468 holes of golf heaven. What's the time say?
Best public golf on the planet.
Alabama's got 100 road trips. Plan yours at alabama.travel.
Which one you gonna take?
Omar, look. Omar, check this out. Hi, yeah, I was calling to see if you do laser hair removal for men. Notice that my hips are off the ground? And then I'm gonna pike my hips back into downward dog. Hey, the rain stopped.
A bad day on the road still beats a good one off it.
Tell me about that dental procedure again. I can still taste it in my mouth.
Progressive helps keep you out there.
We already have a couple of guys that have weighed in earlier today, and 351 is our big bass with Kyle Thrasher, Josh Dunn. They also lead right now with 1377.
We didn't come out here for any practice. Caught 1377, so it was better than we expected. Caught a few times, not too many. We didn't really catch that many fish, just some decent ones.
Boat number 8 got 5 bass in there, but do we have the right 5? Yes, we do. It was more than it took to win last year. Davidson Lanier, 1511, take the lead.
We had a bad day, really. We missed too many fish. We should have more than we had, but I'll take 1511. Let's go take more than that today.
You got 5. I like seeing 5. And the reason he's not sweating because he hammered down. We've got a new leader, Gabe Aldridge, Wes Wiggins, 1588 takes the lead here at Cooter's Pond. Hey, get your clappers together. I want to hear it. Randy Watson.
Man, it was we had a great day. Caught a lot of fish, just junk fishing mostly. Caught some early swimming a jig. He caught the big one swimming a jig first thing. And we flipped up most everything else.
Gordy and Smith not going to do it today. Boat 59 with 754.
It just didn't pan out. We fished shallow, fished deep. I mean, threw everything in a boat really, and just kind of struck out. But hey, that's the way it goes.
The pressure's on Pollard and Weldon, trying to win the Angler of the Year in the South. They had 813 points. Gentry and Smith already out of the running. Let's find out Pollard and Weldon. They need 1588 to take the lead. They have a penalty, but they had 1611 before the penalty. That'll move them to 1511.
We started out on a ledge at way down the river and had a few fish on it. We caught 10, 12 fish early. Probably had about 11, 12 pounds. And then we flipped wood the rest of the day. We went and ran a few more ledges and never caught anything that would help us. So we just picked up a pitching stick and a jig and just flipped wood and caught a few to have what we had.
Here we are, the last flight due in. It's been hot. It's been close. These weights are tight.
They're really tight.
We got a really, really tight, which makes Angler of the Year really, really tight.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys are sweating because of the heat, but it's also because of this Angler of the Year race as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. Give us the scenario on Angler of the Year currently.
Well, when we left this morning, we had 2 guys tied at first, or
Right.
two teams tied at first.
Right.
One of the teams weighed in fairly early. They were an early flight, had less than 7 pounds, I believe, somewhere around 7 pounds, so they kind of faltered. I know that they kind of knew what their fate was by doing that. The next team that weighed in, I believe Wright was tied with them at first, actually weighed in a really good sack.
Right. Pollard and Weldon, I believe.
Exactly. I think around 15 pounds.
Right.
So they kind of did what they needed to do for the day. You know, the weights we knew were going to be roughly about 16 pounds to win the tournament, so they had a really good weight. In the end, Dallas Weldon and his partner, John Pollard, they pretty much took it in control. They did what they had to do. They caught a good limit. They're going to have a good finish. It looks like, at this point, they may be our Anglers of the Year.
Not going to win the tournament, but they're going to win the race.
Exactly, which is really their prime goal, is to win Angler of the Year. There's a lot of extra money in that. They're competing against Angler Years from the north that we won't find out till September.
Sure.
But there's extra money depending on which one of those teams have the most points as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, let's get back to the action. We'll finish the weigh-in, and then we'll see how this thing all plays out.
Sounds good.
Let's find out what Lee and Winslet have, and do they have enough to take the lead? Right now, our lead, 1588. They've got 1583. 5/100ths of a pound. Oh.
And be catching a lot of fish right at daylight, but today it just didn't pan out. I don't know if the boat traffic messed it up, but or the willow flies quit a little bit, but we just did not get on them. It took us mid-morning before we even started catching some fish, and then, like I said, we didn't have a lot of bites. It was just, we flipped all day and luckily caught 2 good ones.
Aldridge and Wiggins taking the victory here, and yeah, they did pull water, not as much as a lot of people expected, but they still found ways of catching them. Over a pound more than the winner had last year.
You know, this is always one of those roll of the dice. You never know when you come here in the summer. These guys had to change and adapt, and it's this way every time. I mean, you really have to roll the dice here at the Alabama River, and they came up on the good end this time. And
let's bring in our winners, and guys, it goes from last year on the Alabama Bass Trail, where you didn't make a paycheck at this round, finished in 41st place, to this year, you're walking home with $10,000. Has to feel a ton better.
Yeah, it feels a whole lot better.
It also is an automatic qualifier into our championship later on this year, something to look forward to. Congratulations, taking home the final $10,000 check here on the South. And John Pollard and Dallas Weldon taking the Anglers of the Year of the South Division and doing it in dramatic fashion, a top 10 finish. I mean, tell me about the pressure today.
Really, the main pressure we had was we had a fish that was stuck bad and was trying to keep it alive. We were trying to win the tournament. We tried to keep Angler of the Year out of our mind. Every tournament we fished this year, we were trying to win.
Last year, we barely made the championship, and we're fishing against the best anglers in the country right here in South Alabama. And these guys we compete against today, they grew up fishing here too. And to win this thing is big to us. And we took it, took it to heart last year, finishing that bad, and we let that level of competition just drive us, to do the best we could every tournament.
Just like our winners at Cooter's Pond, they didn't make a paycheck. They win $10,000 this year, not making the championship, to winning the Anglers of the Year. What an event here at Cooter's Pond, the Alabama River. We are done with the South. The next stop is up north again. We'll crown an Angler of the Year at Pickwick. The next stop, the Alabama Bass Trail, presented by Phoenix Boats.